Welcome to episode 12 of the Nuff Said podcast. Tonight we're talking about the 11th episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I'm confused.
I know. No, you're Jack. The 11th episode is A Magical Place.
Ooh.
That wasn't planned at all. I am one of your two hosts. I am Red Rob Southgate.
And I am Jurassic Jack Wendrowski.
So you see, I went with red because I figured it's descriptive
Mm-hmm.
and it still fits the iteration. It's not that great, but good enough.
And it appeals to me because I'm a big fan of the Blacklist. Although my podcast companion for Baker Street he likes Spader, but not the rest of the show.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, actually, we have somebody that is interested in maybe doing a Blacklist podcast with you, but next season.
Oh, I need somebody now.
Well, if you want somebody now, I can try and get somebody now, but you've got a lot of podcasts on your plate, Jack.
I know, but half of them seem to be in hiatus, so I need fresh blood.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, we've got lots of Input Junkies coming up, so that's not in hiatus. We've got Nuff Said is kicked back in here. You've got Baker Street, and then what else do you have? Is that it?
Let's see, Input Junkie Satellite, and I think that's it right now.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can make something happen for you. Anyone out there that wants to do the Blacklist, write in, and who knows? Maybe this is your lucky day.
It could be. Well,
Or whatever day you're listening to this is your lucky day.
Well, speaking of fresh blood, how about the new episode?
Yeah, let's talk about it. So, first of all, what are your initial thoughts on this episode?
I think it's been a long time coming. I think Tahiti is really starting to kind of aggravate everybody. It's about time.
I know it's aggravating you.
I know, it's like killing me. And I've seen a lot of chatter on the web about the same thing. And it's about time that they let the Tahiti out of the bag.
Well, they didn't completely let it out of the bag, but man, they flipped over a lot of cards tonight.
Yeah, they got to about chapter 5 on that story, but it's really about a 15-chapter story.
Yeah, and you know what? It was actually really satisfying. And here's the other thing. I don't know if you watched, I'm going to skip way to the end. Did you watch the preview for next week?
I did.
So next week they're getting the other one that I'm actually getting pretty tired of. They didn't really do anything with it tonight, thank goodness. But next week they're going to flip over some cards about Sky's past and her parents. Thank goodness. Let's get that storyline out of the way or make it really interesting. I'm at the point where I don't really care, but now that I saw that, I'm actually back in.
Yeah, and it surprised me that I think after what happened during this whole episode, which we're about to start talking about, I think Coulson finally said, you know what? It's coming from me. I'm letting you know.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that with everything that's happening to him, now it's time for him to start letting some secrets out.
Yeah, trusting the system hasn't worked for anybody yet.
Right.
So they captured Coulson. They're still restricting Sky. She's still,
Yeah, she's still got the bracelet on. And Coulson's tied down. I mean, he's getting it's not really an MRI, but he's in some kind of machine, right?
Right. They're, and you get the idea that they're looking at somehow this thing is jarring memories of Tahiti. And we're in the midst of a torture interrogation with Coulson's captor.
Yeah.
And you kind of get the feeling that, okay, they're prodding something in his brain. And then at the same time, we find out the clairvoyant has orchestrated all this because he can't see past Coulson's death.
Right.
So, God, I mean, that really tells you his life has been over.
Yeah.
So
because once the death happened, now the clairvoyant can't see what's going on. That tells you that this death was bigger than 30 seconds.
Right. And has that left our friend Coulson without a soul?
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because, the clairvoyant can see the life force. He can't see the life force in Coulson. But if you have an army full of centipede warriors, especially if not only that you keep having problems with, but instead of them being expendable, all of a sudden you can send them out. They get a little blown up, but you know what? Bam.
They get a little blown up.
You get a little blown. Yeah, you give them a little bit of the Coulson juice, and they're back to work the next day.
The Coulson juice. Yuck.
Well, you know it had to go there. That's what they're looking for.
Yeah. Wow. You got me with Coulson juice. You threw me. That never happens. I'm completely thrown now.
You're doing my awkward pause, man. That's my.
I am, man.
That's my bit.
So Agent Hand was back and kind of doing the same thing she did the last time, where it seems like her agenda has nothing to do with helping Coulson or his team.
No, you know what? She's the corporate lackey. You know, obviously she's like upper management, you know, that comes in like a bull in a china shop, doesn't know what's happening, barking orders. The team yet again has to go around her. I'm really kind of getting tired of her.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not. I have a different take on her. I actually think that she is I want to say she's the company man, but she seems to be okay. Just like Coulson seems to manipulate things on his end, like he says, company, and then it turns out he's manipulating things. Kind of like what we saw with May tonight when she threw Sky under the bus, and then you find out she threw Sky under the bus to get Sky out of there to give her that freedom. I think Hand is the same character. I think Hand is doing these things. Yes, she's playing by the rules. Yes, she's doing this, but she is, in her actions and in what she's saying, she's telling them, go around me.
Well, I think she has faith in them, but one of the comments to me that contradicts that a little bit is the fact that she says no one agent is worth that much. And they all have to turn around and tell her Coulson is.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? She loves Coulson. I mean, she is in with Coulson. So, you know, you're saying that, but I think at the end when we saw her talking to him, we found out that, like, no, she's down with Coulson. She's not throwing him away.
No, I don't think she's throwing him away, and I know, gosh, you know, I think she really knows. I think she just really truly learned the value of Coulson tonight. But I do think that she's part of the man. She does, I think, facilitate some of that, and I think she does know it's happening, but I think she's kind of that character that we want. They're feeding us to kind of, okay, you know, kind of beat against. She's the man. And
yeah, I can see that, because Nick Fury can't be, even though Nick Fury is the reason Coulson is alive, but it wasn't a pleasant thing that Coulson put him through, that Fury put him through.
No, in fact, you know, we kind of find out that the process of what he went through was the very reason that they had to wipe his memory.
Right.
You know, I mean, he wanted, they were totally reconstructing him. And
oh my God. Okay. What did that remind you of? Did it remind you of anything when they were reconstructing his brain?
You know, it kind of did. I couldn't put my finger on it.
Okay. You know what it did for me? Do you remember the movie Hannibal? The sequel to Silence of the Lambs? Not the Red Dragon, but the one that's Hannibal after Silence of the Lambs?
Well, I can't even recall it.
Okay, Ray Liotta's a cop, and he's hunting down Hannibal, and Hannibal traps him in this room, and they're having dinner, and he cuts the top of his head off, and he's poking in at his brain, and it reminded me so much of that. Oh, gross!
Yeah, imagine, you know, the torture that they would be going through. Now, was that what they were reconstructing, or was that machine, which has got to be alien technology?
Yeah, I'm thinking that too.
You know, are they rerouting the neural pathways so that he doesn't remember it, or are they doing that to kind of, you know, regenerate?
I think they were regenerating. I think they were rebuilding everything. Now, I also think that, what's his name? It was Ron Glass, Dr. Straighton, something like that.
The preacher.
Yeah. The preacher from Firefly. Uh, when he was talking about this, he said that that it was massive reconstruction they had to do. Um, I'm tending to wonder if it was completely reconstruction. He may believe that it was reconstruction, or because Coulson didn't have a head injury from that. I'm wondering if maybe they were rebuilding the brain the way they wanted it to be, and then they planted the memories inside.
I don't think so. I think that had to do with regenerating the neural pathways, because we found out that the 8-second or 40-second story of his
was wrong.
Was wrong. He'd been dead for days. Now you have a degeneration of the neural network after that happens.
Oh, that's true.
And so, from my perspective, I'm really thinking that to reanimate somebody, you've got to rebuild those neural networks, those wires that generate the electric signals.
So they're kind of rebuilding this thing from the ground up.
Yeah. Right. So Coulson really is a reanimation. Everybody's really wanted him to be a life model decoy. And this is why I've never gone through that possibility, because an LMD would be just too plastic.
Right.
It would really end about where he left off. There wouldn't be growth with this technology.
Yeah, this is organic.
He's alive, but he's not Coulson anymore. If you don't, the clairvoyant ceases to recognize Coulson as a living entity.
Right.
So, there is definitely life. It's kind of like the alien version of an LMD, my brain just exploded.
Do we need to reconstruct it, Jack?
I think we do. And I think I would, probably lose my will to live, and then I'd have to go to Tahiti.
It's a magical place.
So the other thing, and I talked to a couple people about this, I don't like where they're going with the Fitz character.
What do you mean?
The
fact that he's getting a little tougher?
Yeah, but it's not, to me, it's not, it's too put on. It's too much, just like he's just decided to be tough, but he's really not. He really needs to be Fitz.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna once again disagree with you on this, because I think that he was becoming too much of comic relief and too one-dimensional. Now, I do agree that maybe they're forcing it a little bit, but I think that they are adding dimension to him, which is going to make it more interesting.
Well, make it interesting by doing it and not explaining it to me, because now, it just seems like so pretentious and put on.
Yeah, he was a little tough to swallow tonight. And the other thing is, Simmons didn't really have very much to do. And I always like Simmons, so that was kind of missing. Although, let's talk about Skye for a minute.
Oh man, she had a lot in this episode.
She was awesome. When she did the May cosplay, that was fantastic.
I wish they'd do more of that.
Yeah, they could do a little bit more of that, and maybe they could get her the Black Widow outfit to try on. Maybe I don't know. There's all sorts of cosplay outfits she could do.
Yeah, a little costume thing going on there with Skye. Little fashion shoots.
Yeah, I'm down for it.
So, what about Ward's? What about Ward's interrogation?
Okay, you know what? Ward was, for me, a little bit of a non-entity in this episode. The interrogation was not much of an interrogation until he opened the ceiling up. That was so cool when you saw those things peel back.
Oh, that was the best interrogation ever.
That was fantastic. So I was actually, when he was sitting in that room, I actually was feeling like, okay, boring interrogation. They're just putting him in to put him in because he's the character that needs to be there. Once they did that, I was like, okay, that's why they did this. They didn't need to do much with him. Just let him do this cool interrogation. That was awesome.
It just occurred to me, and because I really noticed with Ward this episode, I think the reason that he really wasn't out there was I think this was the best acting of his yet because everything was organic and not noticeable. It just was Ward.
Okay.
Ward wasn't in my face.
Yeah,
Ward,
yeah.
Ward,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
so Ward wasn't in my face. He was just there being Ward, and it was like, man, it was the first time I really felt like he was a true character.
Yeah, he was, once again, they're fleshing the characters out. So when you were saying that about Fitz, um, and I was feeling that they were fleshing him out. Now that you're saying this about Ward, I'm feeling like, yeah, maybe they are trying to flesh him out in a different way too, make him not so cookie cutter. Now, does that mean, like with Fitz, that you like it? I don't know. But now that you say that, I actually can appreciate what they did with him tonight a little bit more. I thought I thought in general the characters that they did give something to do were fleshed out real well. I think this was the best episode we've had.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's finally kind of getting to a place where I don't feel like a little cookie cutter put upon.
Right, right. Well, and here's the other thing. In the break between the last episode and now, like over the Christmas holidays, a lot of people I talked to were talking about this show, asking about what we do on here, and giving me their theories. And the overwhelming thing that I heard was people disappointed with this show. Not with our show, but with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. No, thankfully not with our show. But they were disappointed. And the biggest thing that was said over and over was, I thought there'd be superheroes. Which, I would talk to them about that and say, well, that's kind of ridiculous. It's not a superhero show. But you and I had talked about this before. There needs to be an element of that universe here that is a little stronger. Well, tonight, I think they had a perfect balance. I didn't care if Thor came into this episode because we saw technology, we saw action, there was story, like there was a lot going on.
Right, and you've got the Centipede Warriors. We got
the Centipede stuff is menacing.
Oh yeah,
and okay, I'm going to spoil the ending because I was so excited. Mike Peterson was back in the end.
Yeah,
that was great. As soon as I saw him, I was like, oh. I knew it. He wasn't dead. Then you see his leg is blown off. His arm is crispy. I mean, this guy is messed up. And then they put that thing in his head.
Yeah, he's got the eyeball now.
Oh. So what do you think, Jack? Is he going to just be a puppet? Or I'm sure he'll be like a puppet superhero, or bad guy. But do you think he's going to turn bad? Or do you think he's going to be manipulated and killed? Or what do you think?
Well, much like most of the eyeball freaks that we have on this show, not our show, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but the ones with the eyeball are they're really doing this against their will. They know they have to do what they have to do, but it seems like as soon as they're kind of confronted, they're looking for a way out, or they know they're going to die. So.
Right, and what I'm wondering is, with all the trauma this guy's gone through and everything, are we going to see that same thing from him, or is he maybe going to flip?
I think we're going to see very much. Where am I at? What's
I don't know.
What's the girl? The girl that got saved. They removed the eye from her.
Oh yeah. I don't remember her name, but yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah, it was from
agent.
The agent. Yeah, so they took the agent. They took the eye out of her, and she was able to go back, even though she knew that she had done a lot against S.H.I.E.L.D., but it didn't count.
Right.
And that's where we're going to be with him. He's going to get played. He's going to be part of the other team for a while until either he's disposed of or converted back.
Yeah, I do like that they're taking this guy who, in the beginning we were debating, is he going to be a superhero? And then they put him in hiding, and then he was kind of a bad guy. And then last time they brought him back, and he's a good guy, and then they blow him up. They are tearing this guy apart. I mean, he was crispy. He's missing a leg. They put this thing in his eye. I'm like, man, they're really breaking this guy down.
Oh, yeah.
What's he going to be at the end? Now, part of me thinks he's going to turn into some other important character. Like he'll have cable technology or something like that that'll save him.
I mean, who knows? They're going to have to go someplace deep to put this guy back together.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, they can do it.
They can, obviously, but is it a process that anybody's going to want to go through?
And if Shield did it to Coulson, then Centipede has its ways of doing things that may not be as slick and may not come out as well, but they're going to have their technology they're working with that is going to be different. My guess is they're going to make him cyborg. He's going to be like, Cable or something like that.
Well, one of the things I think they could do, and it just kind of occurred to me that whatever this technology with the eye implant is, if Agents of Shield could convert that to their own, boy, that lends the wearer all sorts of great powers and technology that, I say let the enemy suit this guy up, get him back and working, and then all of a sudden, bam, you kind of hack the code, and now he's back on Shield side again, but he's all put back together.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, and he could end up being an Avenger. Like he could join into that.
Yeah, I think it'll be maybe their version. Sure.
Yeah. So we just don't know. And when I say an Avenger, I don't mean in the movies, but like one of those characters. Like this could be them making a West Coast Avengers and using this guy as a catalyst for that.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Yeah, it could go. It's gonna have to go someplace deep to get this guy going.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that we get there. I'm hoping that now that we've seen what this show is capable of and it's starting to get better, I'm hoping that this is not going to be it. One season and done, because I think they're starting to lay some seeds, some groundwork of things that we really want to see. And did you catch Nick Fury made a quick appearance in this one?
Oh yeah, well he really made the quick appearance in the
flashback.
The flashback.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll take it, because once again, all that's doing is putting this firmly in that Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh yeah,
and that's what I want to see. I want to see that little bit of crossover. Everyone's waiting for the superheroes to cross over, and at some point it could happen, especially, they might take like a Hawkeye or something. Or like we've said before, Iron Man, but you only see the suit.
Right. And, the thing is, I think what they're trying to do is kind of keep it in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. world, but what they have to remember is it's still Marvel, and that's the expectation.
Yeah, right.
But,
right.
So I know you've been looking for the Vision, and I've really kind of hesitated about being Coulson. I don't think that's where they're going. However, now that they're feeding us the Clairvoyant, I think we're going to need the Vision in this storyline at some point to combat the Clairvoyant, because right now there's nothing that anybody can do about the Clairvoyant. He's in everybody's mind. He knows every move they're making. What's the only way you can combat that? To me, I think it's the Vision.
Yeah, well, you might be right. Well, and like we've said before, Clark Gregg did post that thing or tweet out about, let's get to the thing where the Scarlet Witch and the Vision are together. Why would he do that unless he's the Vision? Well,
I don't know if he's the Vision. Certainly, with the alien technology, putting it together, it could actually, that's the only way I think it could lead to that, because the Clairvoyant can't see him, but is that because he's exerting a power, or is because that he doesn't...
Oh, yeah, or that he doesn't have a soul and
doesn't exist anymore, he's just a recreation.
Right.
But if he does exist, they've, truly put him back together, is he exerting a power that the Clairvoyant can't see past? And with that, S.H.I.E.L.D. now has a new ally. The only thing is, if he takes on the powers of the Vision, you lose the team leader.
Sure.
You're not doing both. So that's why I'm still kind of hesitant. I think you're going to see the Vision coming into the storyline, but from another source.
Sure, I can see that. I can totally see that. And the whole Vision thing, the fact that those rumors are out there, it might be a red herring to lead people to get them excited about this character coming to see what the temperature is. And it does make some sense the way it was playing out, but what you're saying actually might make a lot more sense
I
in
know.
the long run. So, yeah, cool. Hey, you know what? Here's what I care about. Let's get the Vision. That's what I care about.
Yeah,
that would be sweet.
Let's just get there. We've been talking about all these things. Sky's character, let's develop that. Coulson, let's answer the questions. They've finally started to do it. They're starting to I think, really listen. They must be listening to our show.
Yeah, I would love it if they were.
So back to the clairvoyant. How did you like the way that he killed the torturer over the phone?
Oh, that was fantastic. And all I wrote in my notes there is Reina gets promoted, because that's all that was. That was really great. That whole scene, the way it played out, how he was trying to exert a little power over her, and she was like, "Yeah, no, this isn't cool." And then, bam, he's gone. The clairvoyant takes him out. That was really great. Now, here's a question. Does Reina have that thing in her eye?
Oh, that could be possible. Is it the thing that keeps her there? But I don't know. She was truly excited to actually take two. She was truly excited to hear the voice of the clairvoyant. It was her first encounter. She's truly excited. An agent against their will, they're not excited. They don't care. All she would have been doing is fearing for her life.
Yeah, but we also don't know if she was excited and in there and volunteered to have that because that's what you need to do to be part of the organization. And she wants to be closer to the clairvoyant. I mean, she was very excited that, I got to talk to the clairvoyant.
Well, I think, ulterior motives, the clairvoyant would be all over it in a heartbeat, and she would be, just fried, and that would be the end of that. She's truly into this.
Yeah.
She's palling up with the school bully, and she knows it.
Right. 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 And she's like, she wants to be that, number one toady. She wants to be right there with them. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. If there was any question before about where she is in this system, we just got that answer.
Oh, yeah. We got that answer big time. Like I said, I think we got a lot of cards flipped over tonight. A lot of interesting stuff came our way that, we were questioning in the last few weeks. Or we weren't because we were getting bored with the storyline on certain things, and now I'm not bored anymore. I'm way in.
Oh, yeah, I think, they could reel us in for another 5 or 6 episodes with the storyline, and hopefully we won't get tired of it. I think they're going to start moving things along. The characters are developing. I'm happy with some new stuff. Still not happy with Fitz. If they can kind of just let him be an agent, just let him be Fitz. Whatever it's going to be.
Well, I think they need to focus on Fitz and Simmons again, not make them quite so secondary, so we can see a little bit of that character development. We can find out where they're at. Because right now you're getting 1 or 2 lines out of them, and that's where I think you're getting frustrated. You're not seeing the character development. You're just seeing it forced in there. I think if we get an episode that focuses on them a little bit harder, I think we'll have a better shot. Kind of like what happened with Sky this time. They made it make a lot more sense this time with Sky.
Well, but it wasn't very word intensive this time either. But it was very natural. It was when he made his impact, boy, it was a great one. And I think that's what they're going to do. They're not going to focus on everybody at once. Somebody in that team each episode is going to get a little bit of a break, and I think it was Simmons' break this time. But I want to see Fitz and Simmons in that M role in the Bond series.
Right.
I don't really want their life story.
Well, no, not M. Q.
Oh, Q. I'm sorry.
M would be that would be Nick Fury.
Right. M is Nick Fury.
Yeah, you want him to be a little bit more Q.
Yes.
which I think they were in the beginning, and then they were a little too jokey, and I think that's what turned people off a little bit. And now they're trying to, deepen those characters. But I think you're right. Now we've done that. Now we kind of see where that's going. Let's put them in that Q role a little bit stronger again.
Right. But, suddenly start to boss people around doesn't make you Q. We've got too much memory right now of the little cutesy stuff, and kind of, being annoying isn't going to do it for us. Just have them go in there and be.
Yeah, I can see that.
This is, you know what? We're the best scientists in the field. Here's the stuff we're going to give you to do the job. And, and that's what I'd like to feed off of. And, speaking of the technology, the Airbus doing the 180 midair.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was awesome.
That was the best.
Yeah.
Where else could you see a plane do a 180?
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, like I said, like the action in this one, the technology, everything was just really cool. And surprising, like in the interrogation room. That was surprising.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was really great. So, and I think that they had the right amount of creepy. I mean, like that like Mike Peterson, that was disgusting. The eye exploding, that was gross. But you know what? They need that. It can't be, Saturday Morning Kitty. It's got to have a little bit more guts to it.
It does. I think they're starting to get there. I think maybe they're watching their own episodes and they're starting to get it a little bit.
Yeah. I think so too. Well, and I wonder, if that's happening, or if they had everything set up and they knew they were getting their 23 episodes or whatever, and this is just the natural progression of it. We did an interview with Agatha Warren, who was a producer on Under the Dome, and with Under the Dome, it did 13 episodes. It got renewed. It's going to be on again this summer. And in that last episode, there were all these things that happened that led into the next season. And that was a question we had for her was, did you guys know going into it that you would be continuing on? Or did you make adjustments? Were you able to change things because of that? And what she said was really interesting, and I wonder if that's true here too. She said, oh no, we went into it, we didn't really shoot or change anything. Because like there were things that we said, well, did you re-edit certain things, or did you change? No. She said, that's just the natural progression of the show. 0 Hour, same thing. She was a producer on that. And we asked about that because the first 3 episodes were terrible. And then the last, 10 episodes were really fun. And we said, was there an adjustment? Because it sure seemed like major adjustments happened. And she said, no, that was how it was. It was just unfortunate it got canceled after 3 because we all knew that the 4th episode is when everything makes sense. I wonder if that was the case here. If they were treading water till now, and they were like, look, when this happens, this is when it starts to make sense and gel.
Well, I think there's a couple of things here too, is when you sell these things, you sell them, I think, in 13 episode blocks. So you've got that consistent 13 episode plan, and bam, you've got these already in the can. It's done and over.
Well,
and
actually, Jack, that's not totally true. With a lot of these shows like this, when they sell them, they actually map out like between 3 and 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And it doesn't mean that they have all the beats and everything, but they have like in this case, they would have, there's some story arc that we're not seeing yet that is mapped out for 5 years.
Well, I'm not referring to as much the story arc, but I think the development, I think the mistakes that
you're thinking the things within the characters.
The things within the characters that, yeah, you can't really, when you're doing that first half a season, you're really not seeing people's reaction. You're not seeing,
right.
You're not seeing, the little flaws, the little things you're not seeing it like the big picture. You're seeing the details. You're kind of getting things done after you've been doing it a while. And that after those first 13, oh, sure, the storyline, and maybe there are no adjustments, but I think there is that familiarity and that, like they've practiced, they've performed, and now things are really starting to roll.
Yeah. I thought you were going to keep talking there.
Oh, I just heard.
I
Yeah.
just went silence because you were talking. It was like, yeah.
Well, that's usually when you pick up the slack. But
Oh man, I'm going to call that the awkward pause right there.
nice. You're 2 for 2 today.
You know what? I've been sick, and you can tell. Like my voice sounds weird. My brain is definitely not kicked on here. I'm still like I'm looking at my notes, like trying to like think about this whole thing, and it's just I'm sorry, you're dragging me along on this episode.
Well, I've been. We started the Baker Street podcast with
Right, which is about elementary.
It was about elementary and all things Sherlock. And one of the things, what they did was really a huge parallel with this show. It was Irene Adler. It turns out, she's the love. She's the love of Sherlock Holmes' life.
Ah, you're gonna spoil it?
Oh, you can't spoil it. It's in season 2.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can't really listen. If you're into the podcast, you're into the show.
Yeah. You know what stinks? I am so far behind on elementary, and I had to edit your show the other day. I'm like, she's Moriarty. Oh no!
Oh, sorry for you to
spoiled.
that's what you get for what you get for listening to our show before finishing it up. But
it was a good show. I enjoyed it.
But the whole first it really got to the end of the first season, but it was that theme of the love of his life. She's gone. The little hints. They're bringing back the cellist, which little hints here or there. Then we find out there's an interest, and tonight they finally dropped the bomb on that. And boy, that one was so subtle. I wasn't even tired of it yet.
Yeah, right.
I really wanted to hear the other two.
I was actually excited to hear it.
Oh yeah, and it's like, okay, are we gonna get a revisit? Like, the cellist is obviously, thought that he was dead. All the things that Coulson didn't know about where she went, what was going on, all coming to a head.
Right.
So now we know that happened. I think we're going to get the cellist back into the story.
Yeah, right. I think so too. And I think that we're going to find out. I think that this character is going to be more important than just the girl that Coulson was in love with. And maybe we're going to find out some of this next week.
Right. Well, Irene Adler, the love of his life, becomes his greatest enemy. So does that Black Widow or...
Well, Black Widow wouldn't be his enemy. Black Widow's an Avenger.
Well, not Black Widow, but somebody along.
Is she going to end up being a bad guy? Yeah.
Is he going to end up a bad guy or one of the superheroes?
Right. Or neither.
Or maybe just a love interest.
Like if you think about RoboCop, like his wife that he pined away for, and same kind of thing. He was torn apart because she thought he was dead, and it's too painful for him to go back and her to find out he's alive. Could be the same kind of thing here.
Right.
He'll be pining away from a distance, and he'll see what his life would have been from a distance, and it'll be just this painful thing that we'll go back to occasionally. That could be what they're doing too.
It could be, every time we see it, we just see the lower half of the cello playing, and we kind of know where they're going.
Yeah. But you could be right. I mean, anybody in this universe has potential to be some type of hero or villain.
Oh yeah.
So I think we just got to wait and see. So I want to talk about a little bit of news from this last couple of weeks. There was a lot that seemed to kind of drop and come out, and lots of rumors and things. I just wanted to touch on a couple that I thought were really cool. First of all, at Bleeding Cool, they talked about, there was a brief mention about how War Machine might be in the next Avengers movie, that Don Cheadle would be playing War Machine again. And the thought they had was that because at the end of Iron Man 3, Tony was saying he was retiring, maybe the Avengers bring War Machine in to be the Iron Man character, and then Iron Man comes back to help, so you end up having both of them in the film. I don't have a problem with War Machine being in there. I think War Machine's a pretty cool character. I was really happy that they brought him into the Iron Man movies, and I'm also really glad that they haven't made it like a buddy Iron Man War Machine series. You know, he's an important part of the Iron Man mythos. I'm glad he's been in there, but just like Loki with Thor, I wouldn't mind seeing him cross over to this Avengers world.
Yeah, I mean, they've left it open for all sorts of, wherever Iron Man's going now, you just kind of expect him to be, somewhere.
Yeah.
He's really that kind of.
Well,
it's weird.
He's an important character in the comics, so I'm really glad that they're exploring that, and I think that rumor sounds pretty hot. I hope that's the case.
It is. Now, is it going to be kind of like Batman and Robin, or is he going to be his own entity?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? What they were saying is they were kind of speculating that he would be his own entity. That what they were thinking is that potentially when Tony Stark retires or whatever, he inadvertently creates Ultron, and War Machine is part of the Avengers then because Tony's not there, and then when Ultron rises, that's when Tony comes back into the fold. And that's a pretty good theory. I mean, I think that's kind of an interesting approach. Uh-huh. I certainly wouldn't mind it. I get a little afraid when it starts to get crowded with characters. I think Joss Whedon can pull it off better than about anybody, but I'm getting a little nervous because they've got the Scarlet Witch, they've got Quicksilver, you've got Ultron obviously in it. It's like, okay, you're getting a lot of characters going here. I don't want to take away from some of the biggies.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's... Well...
See, now you're doing the pause. It's just me.
I think it's a day for pauses. I guess it depends on where they want to. I guess it depends on where they kind of want to go with the superhero thing. It's funny. I think it's so convoluted now between the characters have been spread through so many entities that, but it's even hard to guess where these characters are going to come from or go to. Right.
Yeah, like once again, we mentioned Loki. I mean, Loki was in both Thor movies. He was in Avengers. You start saying, what are they doing with this guy? And then I heard, well, here's another rumor. Not only does it look like there's going to be a Mandarin one-shot, but it also looks like we're going to get a Loki one-shot, potentially.
Oh, very cool.
And you know what? I'm not sick of him. In fact, I really want to see more Loki.
Seymour Loki, is that his Jewish friend?
Yes, Seymour Loki is his Jewish friend. He's got news for you. He's looking for Thor. So another Avengers rumor. I don't know if this is so much of a rumor as they are trying to cast another big bad guy. So it's not only Ultron, but it looks like now this character who I'm not really familiar with, but it's Baron von Strucker is who they think it's going to be.
I think you have to say that with an accent.
Baron von Strucker.
Exactly.
So he is tied in with Hydra and Masters of Evil. I mean, it's like I'm a little bit familiar with him. My recollection of this character was he was kind of like a Red Skull, but in the modern era.
Oh, wow.
And then there's also the talk that because in the comics, Red Skull is here in the modern era. There's also talk about Red Skull making an appearance again.
Ooh, very cool. Speaking of appearances, the only piece of news that I got was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to feature Stan Lee in one of the episodes.
Yes. In fact, I think I tweeted that out today. So he's going to be on an episode coming up, which is cool. I'm hoping it's more than just a little, cross-the-screen cameo, too.
Well, I think that's what he's known for, but it would be nice if it had enough so that you could recognize it. Not like the Alfred Hitchcock, he's walking in the 30th minute, and you have to really know or be looking for it to see him.
Yeah, but I think this is the place where you can actually have him do something.
Yeah, I would like to see him, maybe being something way up high, like a Nick Fury type
like
character.
Above Nick Fury.
Yeah, like Nick Fury's boss. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
or he's the former Nick Fury.
now I would like to see it like that. If if Nick Fury is
But like
God,
he's the previous head of Shield, and Nick Fury, and he retired and Nick Fury took over. That would be interesting.
that would. But how interesting would it be if there was that next level over
Yeah,
Fury?
yeah. And what level is that?
Right.
How high does it go?
Yeah. Is Fury that the ultimate end of of Agents of Shield? Is he that top level, or is there that what Nick Fury is scared of somebody,
Right.
and it's Stan Lee?
That would be kind of awesome. That would be really cool. All right, I got one more. I mean, there were more rumors than this, but I've got only one more that I want to bring up. Just because I think this is so cool. Actually, I got two. Because I don't know if we talked about it last time, but they're expanding the Spider-Man universe for the Spider-Man films, and they have gone full steam ahead. It looks like they are doing a Venom movie and a Sinister Six movie.
Oh, very cool. Now,
Yes, so I'm excited about that. I think that's really cool. And they keep adding characters to this Spider-Man movie, which once again, is it getting a little overcrowded, or are they just building this universe? And I mean, I'm excited to see the Rhino and Electro in one movie.
that would be cool.
The Green Goblin is there. In the preview, you see the wings for the Vulture, and you see Doc Ock's arms. It's like, you know what? Bring them on.
I loved the diversity of the villains. You never got tired, or there was never like a lot of rehash. As soon as he finished with one character, there was always
Oh,
another.
there's one right there. And a lot of them were working together and just, and I like that they're doing that. It's not, I'm hoping it's not a mess like Spider-Man 3. I don't think it is. I don't think that's what they're going for. I think that was putting too many characters in and not having a cohesion to it. This, it's like, I think they're doing it and they're trying to make it make sense. Just like they did with Avengers. Just like they do with X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Forget the third X-Men movie. All the other ones, I mean, there were a lot of baddies around there. Yes, Magneto was the main bad guy and Mystique. But there were a lot going on, and they were able to do it and manage it real well. I'm not afraid of that.
It's funny. I never latched on to the Venom series whatsoever. It looked cool, but that's really, I just thought it was just an excuse to get him into a different suit. But when the movie came out and they did the Venom storyline on the movie,
Yeah,
it was like, I get it.
Although if you know the real storyline, they really butchered it. That was really bad.
And well,
but you got a glimpse as to what's cool about it.
And that's what appealed to me, because otherwise I would have never gone for it. Right. I just really kind of got the feeling that, they just kind of got tired of, they got tired of the storyline and they kind of went this way. And for some reason, it just never appealed to me. But that really kind of dragged me back in and thought,
Yeah, I get it.
And it may not have been part of the storyline. And I think the diehard fans, will probably really differ knowing, where it was really supposed to go. However, man, it pulled me back in.
Yeah, well, I think they're going to revamp that whole thing. Probably make a lot more sense. They're probably going the route of, my guess is you're going to see the Venom villain and then turn into the Venom hero that's there now, which is really cool.
Yeah, and that would be a great storyline. That could be 2 movies in itself.
Right. And that might be what we're getting set up for here.
Oh, yeah. Man, if they do this right, they are just going to make a ton of money.
Oh, yeah. But just off of us. All right, I got one more bit of news. This is the last one. I told you I said one and then I changed it to 2. This is it. This is a big one. They are talking about doing, they've got the new X-Men movie coming out, which looks awesome. They've already talked about what the following X-Men movie is. They're rebooting Fantastic Four. Well, now they're saying it's very likely that there is going to be a Fantastic Four versus X-Men movie.
Ooh.
Now, here's what's interesting about this. This was broken by a website called The Motley Fool, which is an investment website, which is like, well, what are they doing? But they were talking about how this makes sense and why this would happen, and it was a really great article. Well, then I started reading things that were debunking it, saying, nope, this isn't happening. Like the movie studio said, nope, we're not doing it. And then I thought, you know what? The fact that Motley Fool put that in there, they didn't just make that up. Why are they dabbling in that? That information was coming from somewhere. I think the studio doesn't want it to leak. I mean, what if the Fantastic Four reboot blows? They don't want to be committed to putting that albatross around the X-Men neck. But it's not going to. And I have a feeling that we are getting to that point, because you aren't going to have the Avengers versus X-Men movie that you want. But Avengers versus Fantastic Four could be really cool.
It would be, and I think you'd have to. I'd almost think you'd have to do a little development of the Fantastic Four.
Well, yeah, with the reboot, they're definitely going that route. If you read the comics, I mean, they definitely have. The comics are so much better than the movies, and I think that if they develop it correctly, you could have that same type of feel out of Fantastic Four that you get out of those X-Men First Class movies.
Oh yeah, and much like the books that turn into movies, you can't do the same thing. They have writers that are arcing these storylines over a 5 or 10 year period, and you're not going to do that with an hour and a half movie. There's no way.
Right.
Anybody that really thinks that is just overarching their expectations.
Now, here's something interesting. This X-Men versus Fantastic Four, there was a 4-issue comic that featured this, okay? And that's what they're saying this is somewhat based on. And Doctor Doom is in it, and all this stuff. But what's interesting is one of the characters that's important in that series is Havoc. And Havoc is a really interesting character that they haven't brought forward. We haven't seen anything about. I was actually kind of thinking that we'd see Havoc possibly appear on S.H.I.E.L.D. But now I'm thinking, well, maybe, since it's in this, maybe Sony owns that character. And we might have a character that people aren't aware of how cool this character is. We could get this character brought forward in this movie and made another big, standalone player.
Yeah, where would they take that though?
What do you mean?
With
Havoc?
Yeah, as a Sony entity.
Well, they own. I'm sorry, Fox. I didn't mean Sony. Fox, because Fox owns Fantastic Four and X-Men and the characters in those universes. This is a character who's a hero who is not one of these characters that is as mainstream as, say, Wolverine, but I think he could very easily become that.
Okay, yeah, I'm back with you. It just kind of lost me there for a second.
That's okay. That's what this whole podcast is about tonight, I think.
The lost episodes.
Oh, my gosh.
That could be the title.
Yeah, we're having some kind of problem. I think that's the title. We're having some kind of problem.
Houston.
Yeah. So there we go. That's all my news that I wanted to touch on this week. We'll have a lot more next week, I'm sure, because there were just so many things I didn't even bring up. But I mean, there's just so much, and I thought these were the big ones.
News at 11.
Yeah, right. So there we go. Have you got anything else, Jack?
No, I think I'm at the end of my rope here.
Okay. Well, let's just wrap it up. Follow us on Facebook. You can find us at the Nuff Said Podcast there. Just search in the little search bar. You can follow us on Twitter at Nuff Said Podcast, or me personally at R Southgate. Jack, you're at
J1 Grosky.
Tonight was the big one. I actually was tweeting through the entire episode. I think we're going to try and do that every week now.
Yeah, I joined you there for a little bit. It was my first foray into active tweeting.
Yeah, it was fun. And, we were tweeting and retweeting things from the cast, and it was just a lot of fun doing it that way. So I think we're going to try and keep up with that. So join in the conversation. Get in there with us and post your theories, your questions, whatever. Get it on the Facebook page. Let's get that conversation going. The website for our parent company is www.southgatemediagroup.com. And if you go to that website, right on the homepage, you'll see all sorts of podcasts about all sorts of TV shows and other things.
Check out my bio.
Yeah. You got the bios on there. There's a picture of Jack. So everybody rush to the picture of Jack. That's not happening.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah. You know what, Jack? I've seen it, and it's not happening. Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on. We also have a coming soon section on there where you can see some of the icons for some of our upcoming shows that have not launched. And now it looks like we've got even some more that I haven't even made things for, such as Jack and the Blacklist, Jack and whoever doing the Blacklist.
Yeah, somebody needs to come up to the plate.
Yeah, man. So if you want to do the Blacklist, let us know, and we'll see if that can work out. That's it for the Nuff Said podcast. I'm Red Rob Southgate.
And I'm Jurassic Jack Windgrowski.
That's it, everybody. Until next week, Nuff Said.
Nuff Said.